Welcome back to the program, and of course we continue briefing you on what's happening around you. And this hour we did take you to Parliament, where we saw proceedings happening within the National Assembly. It's all about the anti-corruption and economic crimes bill that is currently being debated on the floor of the House. But right now would like to take you to reporter K24 TV, who's joining us live from Nakuru with an update as of now. K24, thank you so much for joining us. What do you have for us as of now?
It is indeed good morning, Sam Joroge. We're coming to you live from Kariba Road and Primary School in Nakuru County. It has been a week that we have witnessed a lot of damages, a lot of emergencies and a lot of tragedies, ranging from the Precious Talent Academy School and now the ferry accident that happened in Likoni, where our reporter Kai has been pitching tent to bring us that report. But right now, we are asking ourselves, do we wait for disasters to happen, or we can manage them prior to them happening? And can we be able to manage our situations in our capacities as people without involving the government, without involving other stakeholders? And now joining me is head teacher Kariba Road Primary School to just explain to us this building. If my camera person John Wangombe can just show you, it was condemned and it was condoned off last year, and the school management decided to follow the investigations that were done by National Land and also the construction company that did the work, and also the public health officers who said the building should not should not hold any kind of event or even learning. It is a one-story building that has a capacity of 200 students, and if anything had happened, this would be a disaster. Mwalimu, it has been quite a sad week for Kenya and also for learners across the country, where we lost 8 of our learners in Precious Talent Academy. You start with your name and tell us exactly. You can just come here and face our cameras. How does it feel to be in a school, this kind of a big school, and how did you notice that this class was not good for occupation?
Thank you so much. My name is Lemayan Simon Olengome, the head teacher Kariba Road Primary School. We as a school have been using this school for quite some time, since 1987. But 2016, we identified that one of our class was not in good. It was not in good shape because the floors were chipped off and also the roofs were leaking. And we actually talked to the Ministry of Education, who came and did an assessment of the entire school. And we were informed and we were requested to contact the public health officers, also to do a sanitation inspection, which they came, did the inspection, and they condemned the building. And actually that particular class, and they said that it should not be put in use. So immediately we removed our learners from that class and we relocated them to a safer place. And this year again, we actually again went to the ministry because we wanted to do an inspection for permanent registration of the school, which the ministry did, and therefore they did another report again. The Ministry of Health came, they also did an inspection, and they recondemned again the same class. So we felt it was actually advisable that the 3 other adjacent classes, there was an adjacent class to the story one and the lower ones, the 2 other classes, which totaled up to 4 classrooms. We decided, for safety purposes, we decided to remove our learners from those classes to a safer class. Thank God we had some 2 vacant classes. We had to put these learners in the 2 classes. Yes. So at least we had a place to put our learners.
This comes in a week whereby so many private schools have been closed down. Are you receiving any of those pupils from outside there? And is the school in capacity to hold the numbers?
Yes, we have already received a few learners up to the tune of 25 who have already reported, and we have put them in classes. The capacity is there. We have the capacity because the other classes are actually not full to capacity, and that gave us room to be able to accommodate those that have come from the other schools.
There is a head teacher who is outside there who is maybe watching you or listening to you. What kind of advice would you give? And what advice did the construction company, or rather the Ministry of Public Works, give to you? Is it we demolish the whole building, or you just renovate?
When the Ministry of Public Works to do the assessment, they recommended that the classes be reinforced. They do columns and also do a complete flooring. So that to strengthen the classes, not to completely demolish. And then also remove all the tiles, not really the tiles, but the roof, so that we do corrugated iron sheets instead of using the ones that are there, because they are already old, and also the most of them are broken and leaking. Yes.
An intelligent head teacher there, Sam Njoroge. We can be joined by the chairman, board of management in this school, who is going to tell us shortly what them as parents decided when they found out that one of their classes was a disaster in waiting. Karibu sana mchungaji, you can introduce yourself na pengine you tell us exactly what you decided, you as parents.
Asante. My name is Bishop Kaisha Albert, the chairman BOM Kariba Road Primary School. Thank you for visiting our school. Well, as the head teacher has just told you, we identified a problem in one of our classes, and that was way back in 2016. And as parents and BOM, we together with the teachers, we decided the best thing to do is to take safe measures. We decided to evacuate the kids to a safer place. Because we didn't want any disaster to occur to us, yet we could save it.
Yes. So, as a country, do you think that our disaster management systems are in the right order?
Well, to me, I just want to caution people. It's just a matter of being alert. And you don't need to wait until the accident occurs for you to rush. We would rather do our investigation as early as now to understand. The disaster management does not mean that you just go and solve. It also gives you the intelligence of you investigating where could the problem be coming from. So at Kariba, we thought it wise to, we normally do that. We go around to check on our classes and to see where the problem may be, so that we act on it as early before the problems occur. Yes, sir.
There you have it, Sam Njoroge and Shiksha Aurora. Indeed, an intelligent set of people who did not wait for disaster to happen. As this class, if my camera person can just show you, the roof is not well done. There is a crack, and also the same one-story building was cordoned off until it is renovated to the standards that the Ministry of Public Works would feel it is well good for habitation. My name is Kigodho Mwangi. In as much as we condemned those who did not do their part, it's good to appreciate those who have done their part and they have prevented disasters from happening. In the next hour, we will be integrating, or rather we will be joining a Red Cross Society to just demonstrate what are some of the first aids and also disaster management skills that you are supposed to have, you as a human being and also as a person who is continuously at a place of work. My name is Kigodho Mwangi and my camera person is John Wangombe. We take you back to Sam Njoroge for the rest of the briefing as we wait for the next session.
Thank you so much, Kegotho Mwangi, joining us live from Nakuru. As they say, prevention is better than cure. You better be safe than sorry. And that is precisely what is happening in Nakuru. Remember, this is coming at a time when the Ministry of Education is very keen on the quality of infrastructure around schools in the country, and definitely a story that continues to inform our news diary. So we will keep tabs with it and let you know on what develops from that particular end. Now, also today we did tell you that one of our news sources will be the National Assembly, and right now we've got debate happening on the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Amendment Bill, and why this piece of legislation and why now. You remember earlier in the year we had a multi-sectoral team drawn from the Office of the Solicitor General, Office of the Attorney General, Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, as well as Office of the DCI. And what were their issues and grievances to the select committees of the Senate and the National Assembly? Well, they said that the quality of legislation is hampering the fight against corruption, and that informed this piece of legislation in terms of the amendments that are currently being debated on the floor of the House. So we'd like to cross over to the National Assembly and listen into the quality of debate around the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Amendment Bill. Let's listen in.
It's important, Mr. Speaker, we checked and scrutinize all our ministries, because I am not afraid to say that most of the corruption is being championed by the people. We have given them a mandate to look into the welfare and development funds of this country. Mr. Speaker, I think it's important for this House to pass this bill with the amendments is proposed by Honorable Didi Nyoro, because I think it's going to help this country curb corruption, and development will come as we have appropriated in our budgets in this House. Those remarks I support, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to contribute to this bill by Honorable Nyoro. Honorable Nyoro, in his bill, what he is asking for is really stiffer penalty as a means of creating deterrence in the fight against corruption. Mr. Speaker, honorable members who have contributed before me have really emphasized how corruption has become part of a major bane in the side of the Kenyan state. It has affected the economy, trade, business, and welfare of this nation, to the extent that we are told that almost 30% of this country's budget actually goes into this dark hole called corruption. Mr. Speaker, the fight against corruption, we see it as the domain or the docket of ESCC. But I think as one person, this is far from the truth. If we must fight corruption, the Kenyan nation must address itself to the whole issue that this is a problem that affects all of us in all facets of life in this nation, and that there must be some collectivity on how we should address it. Mr. Speaker, I think since we have had the new CEO, Major Barak, and the Bishop as the chairman of the commission, I see there's some element of sanity, particularly in that organization itself, where we do not hear the infighting that used to be there before. It is strange to have a good combination between a former soldier and a former churchman. So maybe the combination is what is really good. And maybe we need to understand the chemistry in the fullness of time. But Mr. Speaker, importantly, whereas they can do a good job, but it calls for a national effort. Mr. Speaker, the laws and the courts will not define the character of this nation in the fight against corruption. Because the Kenyan culture today, you must get rich quickly, you must have a lot of money to be recognized. Nobody really cares sometimes how you make that money. If you don't have enough money, or if you are not a rich person, you will not sit at that table. It is the character that we must begin to deconstruct. Because if all our life is about money, then I think there's something wrong in the psyche of our country. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Nyoro's thrust in this is in the area of punishment and litigation, punishment and legislation. Mr. Speaker, whereas I agree with that point to an extent, I think that in itself will not be a solution to the fight against corruption. We must begin to tie it down from the ground that what would a young child in primary school, a young boy or girl in our colleges and universities, what is their orientation in terms of understanding hard work, gainful employment? You get what you work for. You earn from your sweat. The idea of people getting money that actually...
That is what is happening in the National Assembly this morning. It's all about the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Amendment Bill, of course, informed by some of the submissions that were made by a multi-sectoral team drawn from the offices of the Solicitor General, DPP, DCI, and the Attorney General on some of the legal loopholes that currently exist and hamper the fight against corruption. Also happening today, we'd like to take you to the courts, and there's a very interesting case that has been ongoing, and it's all about Huduma number. And today we've got government witnesses who will be cross-examined, and we're looking at the Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Interior as well as his counterpart in the Ministry of ICT. They will be taking the stand. They will be cross-examined by, among other people, the Kenya Human Rights Commission, and representing KHRC is a politician and lawyer, that is Martha Karua. It will be an interesting time in court today as we listen in to what will be coming forth from the courts. Remember, Huduma number, we've got the Nubian community challenging implementation of the Huduma number, and today Interior Principal Secretary Karanja Kifisho is expected to take a stand to give evidence in the case. A lot has been transpiring in as far as this particular case is concerned. For the better part of the last couple of weeks, we've been getting indication that this story could be developing. Remember also, we've had politicians question what became of the Huduma number after government was very, very keen on its rollout in Feb this year. Remember, it came at a point where there were also other issues that were being reported across the country, but the nature of attention and priority that the government gave Huduma number registration still remains an issue that informs various schools of thought out there. At one point prior to its rolling out, there was a case in court which predominantly did not bar its rollout, but did say that some of the services, because Karanja Kifisho, that is Interior Principal Secretary, had indicated that you will not be in a position to access government services if you will not have the Huduma number, and that was sort of addressed by the court, and they said that no one should be stigmatized because they do not have a Huduma number. There was also the concern about a security of data that will be provided by the citizens of Kenya as they enroll or register for this number. And again, that issue was touched on, and there was much assurance from government that there will be no tampering of data. It will be safe, it will be secure, it will only be used for the right purposes. Still, a question that has not been authoritatively answered is the function that this number is supposed to play, because when you look at the nature of information that was being sought, it's practically what government does before it gives you an identity card and what it does during the National Population and Housing Census, which coincidentally still happened this year, 2019. And there were people who argued that instead of government using around 6 to 9 billion on the Huduma number registration, it should just wait and look for this information as they conducted the National Population and Housing Census. Again, the matter on the floor of the House touches largely on human rights. We've got the Nubian community arguing that they did not feel well captured or represented when it comes to the registration of the Huduma number. What will not Cabinet Secretary, but Principal Secretary Karanja Kifisho have to say in as far as this issue is concerned? What exactly will the Principal Secretary in the Ministry of ICT have to say in as far as that particular issue is concerned? Queries still continue to be raised over the quality of the process behind the Huduma number registration, and why now there are those that argued it will be proper to have this, if at all for nothing else, then for security purposes, because there was a concern over how death certificates are being handled, concern over how identity cards were being handled, and this came just weeks after the Dusit attack. So yes, there will be a lot of queries around this area, and the nature of the case in court today will see how various legal teams will make their arguments in court and what direction the judiciary will give in as far as this issue is concerned. Just 5 days ago, we had a witness tell court that Huduma number project was not to collect fresh information from Kenyans, and this is Brian Omwenga, who is an information technology expert who was testifying on behalf of the government on the project that had been dodged by controversy this far. The Nubian community too and the Kenya Human Rights Commission have filed a case challenging the constitutionality of the National Integrated Identity Management System, popularly known as NIMIS, and they now want a 3-judge bench comprising of Justices Pauline Nyamweya, Weldon Korir, and Mumbi Ngoge to declare the registration exercise unconstitutional. And alternatively, they're just seeking guarantees that the information collected by the state will be stored securely. And Mr. Omwenga, that is the information specialist, was taken to task by the lawyers of the Kenya Human Rights Commission, led of course by Martha Karua, on the collection of personal information that included personal emails, mobile numbers, profession, and whether one owned land or is practicing farming. There are those that felt, well, the nature of the questions when it came to the registration of the Huduma number were a bit intimate. Others said they were a bit intrusive. But what judgment, what ruling, what direction will be given by the court in as far as this issue is concerned? Well, that is why our cameras remain steadfast at the Milimani Law Courts, and we shall be bringing you details to this event as and when we begin getting them. As of now, images that we are getting live from Milimani Law Courts signal that this case will be kicking off any time from now. And we would like to take a break, but when we return, this will form part and parcel of our briefing, as well as more information that our news team is currently processing for you. Keep it right here. This is the Daily Brief at K24 TV.